Sean.
Marco.
We are here to deliver a message from the RSAC Conference team.
It's an important message from our friends. RSAC Conference 2025, just around the corner, where insights drive action, solutions emerge, and community connections spark innovation. You'll be there. I'll be there. We invite everybody else to be there April 28th through May 1st. You can secure your spot at rsacconference.com/ITSPMAG25. That's ITSPMAG25. See you all there.
I'll be there. See you there.
Black Cloak provides concierge cybersecurity protection to corporate executives and high net worth individuals to protect against hacking, reputational loss, financial loss, and the impacts of a corporate data breach. Learn more at blackcloak.io.
Welcome to the AIxCC experience at RSA.
Perfect.
Welcome.
Woohoo! Hello. All right.
So AIxCC is a public competition to find and patch vulnerabilities in open source software, particularly in critical infrastructure. And we thought it was important that as part of sharing the mission and the message here, that we level set and get folks into a headspace where they can really focus on the competition and the stakes. And so this is a bit of a level set to get you kind of in the mindset of getting into our fictional city, Northbridge. So we're going to take a bit of a train ride and then get into the cybersecure city of the future.
It kind of reminds me how you walk into some Disney attraction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's kind of like that mindset, so you get into...
Yep, immersive, right?
Immersive.
Yep.
All right, I'm excited.
And embody. Let's go.
Let's do it. Whoa, it's for real.
Welcome. You are currently in transit to Northbridge, an immersive city showcasing the AI Cyber Challenge and embodying the promise and challenges of AI for cybersecurity. My name is Kitty. I'm the virtual host of Northbridge and will do my best to guide you on your visit. While you're here, you can learn about the AI Cyber Challenge, a competition designed to help secure our critical infrastructure. See how teams competed with custom-built cyber reasoning systems to automatically identify and fix critical vulnerabilities hidden inside software code. Discover the high stakes of securing critical infrastructure by analyzing cyber attacks both past and very, very present. And be part of the cyber cult, people dedicated to achieving the dream of a cybersecurity world. A dream this one naturally has a few enemies, which is why I wanted to
A cyber-secure world. Not as long as I'm here. Welcome to Northbridge, a city of broken dreams.
The train has arrived. We're happy you're here, Cyber Collective. If a cyber attack happens while you're here, we're depending on you to help us understand and stop it. For now, as you exit the train, a guide will be waiting to orient you on your journey.
So we've arrived in Northbridge.
I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you. Stuff is happening.
At least the door's open for us.
Yes, yeah, the doors still work.
All right, that's good.
Hello. Pardon us.
Welcome to Northbridge.
Thank you.
On behalf of all the citizens, just come on through and meet Brian. He's in the Fish Walker. Hi.
Thank you.
Welcome in.
Excellent. Welcome in. Come on into Northbridge. Fantastic. We have our group here. Welcome in.
You want to talk in here?
Sure.
Yeah, there you
Excellent.
go.
Welcome into Northbridge. We get to explore the DARPA-led AI Cyber Challenge. So you get to go through this interactive city to see how we are protecting and securing and defending our infrastructure. So you'll see healthcare, you'll see medical, you'll see water, you'll see cyber. This is what we want you to go through. You're going to follow a simple line through the outskirts of our city here. A lot of interactions, a lot of folks that can answer some technical questions about the challenge as well. We really want you to dive in and learn as much as you can about this DARPA-led challenge. So if you follow me through this way here, we'll meet with Dr. Kathleen Fisher. Fantastic. Welcome in. Got our first group heading over this way. We'll hear from Dr. Fisher on the challenge. Get started with the journey.
Welcome. Thanks for joining. Yeah, how are you guys?
Can I give you this? So we record it? Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So gather around so that everyone can both see and hear. Dr. Fisher is going to provide an overview and help form context for what you're about to experience in our city of Northbridge.
AIxCC is a competition that is designed to bring together the best and the brightest from DARPA's broad performer community to pair generative AI with cyber reasoning systems, program analysis techniques to automatically find and fix vulnerabilities in new open source software. The genesis of the program came about partly because there was a paper that you stated about vulnerabilities in open source software. Willingness of adversaries to leverage that weakness of nation-state conflict. And it showed that ChatGPT and systems like that were in fact able to find and fix vulnerabilities in a kind of baby scale. And that's the kind of thing that where DARPA loves to see the opportunity and pour in lots of resources and get lots and lots of people involved to see if that genesis, like the core tiny seed of an idea, could grow up into something that would be just massively disruptive, massively game-changing. With AIxCC, we were able to get foundation companies, Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, and Microsoft to make available their state-of-the-art models to the competitors so that we are guaranteed to have the best foundation models available to the teams that want to compete. So the semifinals has kind of two purposes. One is evaluating the technical hypothesis, then the other piece is giving decision makers and everybody who attends the semifinals a visceral appreciation of how important it is to make our software more secure because of the impacts, not just in the information space, but also in the physical space of attacks on infrastructure software. AIxCC is working on the real software that modern society runs on. And as competitors find and propose suggested fixes, those suggested fixes are relevant for the real software that people are using every day. AIxCC is contributing to the advancement of AI and cybersecurity by putting a whole lot of gasoline on the fire of pairing AI and cybersecurity. We just see with the growing incidence of ransomware how vulnerable we are. If we can develop a technology that can not just point out that we have a problem, but if we can also say, and here's how to fix it, that could be game-changing.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening to this critical message. So your experience is going to actually continue this way to my left. You're going to meet two of my really good docent friends out front of Y2Kates, and they're going to give you a sense of just how high the stakes are for a cybersecure future. So please head this way and make sure you keep an eye out for that cyber scoundrel, the rat.
All right. Thank you.
Generative AI.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to take a second to
I love
talk a little
stickers.
bit
He loves
more
stickers, so I'm going to get one for him too.
about
There
the
you go.
semifinal
Thank you.
event that we had at DEF CON this past August. We had 42 teams competing with fully autonomous cyber reasoning systems. So they developed their systems, they handed them over to us, the competition organizers, and we ran those systems against real open source software projects that are used everywhere. We had the Linux kernel as one of our challenge problems. We had SQLite, just extremely widely used software, and we had synthetic vulnerabilities added to synthetic forks of that software, and then had the teams try to discover those synthetic vulnerabilities just to see if they could find them. The teams were able to find almost half of the vulnerabilities, 22 out of the 59 that we put in. They also found a vulnerability that we did not put in. They found a 0-day in SQLite that we reported to the maintainers and had patched. And they were able to patch, the teams, once again, fully autonomously, were able to patch most of the vulnerabilities that they found. Very, very exciting. And this was an effort where we saw a lot of collaboration from tech leaders, commercial leaders in this space. Google, Microsoft, Anthropic, and OpenAI have all been actively collaborating with us to develop the competition challenges and infrastructure. And it was very exciting to see the Google teams after the semifinal event kind of take a resurged interest in the combination of frontier models and securing source code. It's been a fantastic partnership to date and very productive. So we're very grateful for it. And now we're kind of on our way towards finals in August at DEF CON this year, where the top 7 teams will compete against many more challenges, many more open source software projects, many more classes of vulnerability. So I'm very excited to sort of see how they're able to do that. I will also say, in semifinals, the teams were fairly resource constrained. They had a relatively small amount of compute, they had 4 hours of wall clock time, and they had $100 in LLM credits. So when they found vulnerabilities and patched them, we're talking tens of dollars per discovery and patch, which is just fantastic. So we've given them more resources as we've upped the difficulty and scale of the challenge for finals, and we're very excited to see what they're able to do with even more resources.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions?
Well, no, I just have a comment because I love the idea of the healthy competition and at the same time became collaboration.
Yeah.
And that's how you actually advance,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. Another exciting thing about this competition is that after the competition is over, all the teams will be releasing their cyber reasoning systems with a permissive open source license. So after they receive their prize money, the community will benefit from that technology. It'll sort of the rising tide will lift all boats, and we're very excited for kind of that transition into a even more collaborative kind of space.
An healthy competition.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
Can you tell me a little bit about the teams? Who are they? Are they from organizations? Are they white hat hackers, black hat? Who's the bug bounty?
So I don't know what color hats they wear. That's their choice.
We'll never know.
But they come from an interesting mix of university-affiliated teams and small companies. Some of them are affiliated with larger companies as official sponsors. Some of the university teams are, in fact, multiple universities all kind of collaborating together. It's a really interesting mix that kind of runs the gamut from, like I said, commercial, like research companies and academic kind of groups.
Very cool.
It's very exciting.
All right, let's keep moving.
So as we move through the space, we have a number of different attacks, real-world attacks documented over the last 20-ish years, as well as some lesser-known kind of facts about critical infrastructure, the real consequences of critical infrastructure being vulnerable. So we have a sort of simulated version of water infrastructure being attacked, and how these are the sorts of vulnerabilities we do not want to find out about the hard way, because once they've been exercised, once they've had that impact, the cleanup will cost orders of magnitude. The resolution will cost orders of magnitude more in terms of time, money, lives, unfortunately, than an early remedy. And we really wanted to bring that sense of the gravity of the situation. We wanted to make that really apparent to the audience, because it's one thing, I think, to talk about, especially in the security space, we're inundated with how vulnerable. We almost become accustomed to how fragile our kind of position is in the world and our infrastructure is, and even as we search more resilient, kind of more secure spaces. And I just think it's important to remember that we are in some respects lucky that the worst has not happened, but it's still very much on the table, unfortunately. So we would love to avoid that,
overload of information.
Yes.
Yeah, which is always a risk, right? When you talk about communicating and creating awareness.
Yes.
There is that kind of like tipping point where is too much and where can you focus to really educate. And I feel like also to get the budget, the government, the cities,
Yes.
the federal, state, and all of that to actually be aware that we don't need to wait for things to happen, because that would not be a good idea.
Absolutely. We've been very fortunate, I think, our efforts in preparing for the open source release of the tools. We've been working with other government agencies across the federal government and private companies that have an interest in critical infrastructure, and sort of preparing them, okay, once this is available, how will you take advantage of this? How will you use this? How can we help you use this? There's that's a space that DARPA and ARPA-H and our other government partners, we're all invested in, it's very much, a big tent kind of affair, where we know that we have to support both our sister agencies at the federal and state level, as well as private entities that, manage or develop some of these critical tools and applications.
So there are a couple of extremes, right? So there's the fear angle as part of this, and then on the technical side, it can get pretty complicated in terms of what's actually running and what vulnerabilities are there.
Absolutely.
And how do you bridge that gap to help state, local, and federal agencies understand what the real risk is without being fearful? And then also connecting communications and policy and bringing teams and operations together, and then obviously the individuals to help pull all this.
I wish I had a simple answer to that very good question.
Not a simple question.
But I mean, you hit the nails on the head, right? Like all of those kind of ducks need to be in a row for us to be successful. And I think to the credit of all the stakeholders we've engaged, everyone is willing to come to the table on this, whether they're private industry, they're a government agency that has perhaps authority, but maybe limited budget or resources. EPA Cyber is responsible for a lot of water security in the U.S., and they are a historically understaffed, underfunded effort. I mean, there are 53,000 water filtration and processing plants in the U.S. That's a lot of sites to maintain. And that hardware, that investment in that infrastructure is typically made on multi-decade timelines. So you can imagine, right, a world where that becomes network connected, where we're trying to leverage any flavor of automation, everything kind of that complexity starts stacking up really quickly, and then understanding that, making sure that operation continues seamlessly, that's very hard. And not to mention all the different state, local, and federal entities that you may need to align. So we're working on that, but it is a challenge for sure.
Are you working with the AIxCC and the AIxCC?
We are. We want to maybe move. We've engaged. We've engaged some of the AIxCCs through our partnerships with like CISA, the sector coordinating councils. And then even found key stakeholders in critical infrastructure kind of maintenance and development to just once again offer our assistance. Like, we're the government, we're here to help, and also ask them, right, where the challenges, what are they seeing, what do they feel is the biggest challenge to securing their own infrastructure? Because oftentimes, right, sometimes they've already thought about this a lot, and they already know what they need, or think they know what they need, and have a pretty good idea, but they're not able to, close that gap entirely, and that's where we can help. We can provide expertise, we can provide funding potentially, and leveraging this technology, the economy of scale, it just becomes much more kind of, the value proposition is very strong at that point.
And sharing information. If somebody's successful, then why not sharing so that the people after that, other entity, other government agency, they can also avoid, it's a budget that works out pretty well. Right?
Yeah.
One discover, the other adopt it.
Yeah. I think the AIxCC model is so interesting because that's where you get people that compete in business to collaborate for mutual kind of security benefit. And I think the software supply chain, even their non-open source components, there's a lot still of sort of mutual benefit from collaborating on securing that environment, especially given how interconnected a lot of institutions are. Thinking about financial institutions particularly, but this is true across the board. So once again, mutual kind of like shared benefit if we can just agree to collaborate like this.
Yep.
A different community.
Yeah,
different way of looking at a community.
I think another good example of that is healthcare, where you have a very diverse vendor environment and a very complex technology stack, where any of those could potentially be a way in to compromise a hospital for a ransomware attack or disclose patient records. So if we walk over to the Northbridge Medical Center, I'm going to take them.
So you check in and you don't check out?
Yep, doctor.
No copay, no copay. It's so one of the things we wanted to highlight. I think once again, coming from an enterprise security space, it's easy to forget how complicated these environments can be. And so, as we look at the different kind of threats and insecurities and how the different pathways they open up through these systems. I mean, hospitals are extremely complex, and there's no hospital that runs a single vendor kind of stack. They're running devices from tens of vendors, all that may have different network connectivity requirements, all that have different kind of proprietary protocols that may be hard to introspect, but from an attacker's perspective might provide amazing lateral movement mechanisms, right? So securing these environments is really challenging. We have 6,000 hospitals and clinics in the US today. All of them have pretty unique network configurations. Many of them have health at home and telehealth presence, so they're expanding their network posture into people's homes, remote clinics. Teleradiology is very common. So once again, massive interconnected network. Any gap in that tech stack, makes this whole ecosystem vulnerable. And so just kind of trying to provide a small mapping of how these vulnerabilities propagate and manifest. And then even the potential where if we had this very rapid, I think I mentioned earlier, the semifinal round they had a 4-hour window to analyze hundreds of thousands of lines of source code and find and patch vulnerabilities, and they were successful, with many of them. And so the idea that we could have, a brain-dead integration into our CI/CD pipeline, for example, where the patches are not only being pushed very rapidly, but those are high assurance patches where the evidence of their utility non-interference, the patches will not kind of prevent the application they're patching from, it will continue to function as needed. And then also, how do we start to ensure that the entire network, the entire environment will not be negatively impacted by the changes to that one device? I mean, that's a problem that AIxCC is touching on, but there's other work at DARPA and ARPA-H that continues to look at this. How do we know that the changes we make, whether it's a patch or a configuration change, how do we know that the system will both remain performant and improve its security and safety? Yeah. I realize it's a hard problem that I think everyone in this at RSA is cognizant of. Yeah. But I think it's good to concretize it, right, in these use cases that aren't necessarily known.
Well, I think this is a great representation for people that don't really have a big picture, because it's almost like a digital grid with an electric switch. How do you bypass a problem, and how do you make it resilient?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a big thinking. It's like 360.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's really hard. And today I think I would love to get to a world where doctors never have to take cybersecurity training, right?
Oh yeah.
That doesn't,
don't we all?
Right? I don't want clinical staff to have to think about cybersecurity, right?
Well, that's the goal of cybersecurity. Will be that you don't see it.
Yep.
And it doesn't affect your everyday small mom and pop business, as well as, of course, big organization and organization that save lives. So
exactly.
I think people that will come here will definitely have a very good picture and vision of what it really is. Still complex, but a better understanding.
Yes, we can't forget that the healthcare system itself is also complex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, of course.
So every little part of that whole workflow and patient engagement and healthcare providers and payers, the whole thing is complex with a bunch of systems, tons of data. This paints a picture of an overlay of threats and vulnerabilities, which we also have.
And Sean, it really makes you think when you start seeing around hack alert everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about Change Healthcare, right?
Right.
Like that was I don't think enough people were clocking how disruptive that would be until we had experienced it.
Yeah.
And those sorts of catastrophic sort of either supply chain kind of like choke points or dependencies are really hard. I mean, that's just one large component of this complex system, right?
I think we're getting there to realize that the complexity, it's even, beyond what we could have imagined with fantasy and fiction.
Yeah.
Like reality has become the future. The present is the future nowadays.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of creating this simulation and having this experience that I think is really going to open up minds.
Yeah, and so our kind of last major area here is talking in more detail about semifinals, and actually it's running the competition. This is showing the teams how they're interacting. They're fully automated, no human in the loop here. Their cyber reasoning systems, how they're querying the LLMs. And you can sort of see kind of the patterns from some of them. At this point, we're in round 4, so looking at SQLite. That grid up there represents the synthetic vulnerabilities that we inserted into these synthetic forks of these projects, and sort of the combined performance of all the teams is represented there. But once again, this was just a few hours and $100 of LLM credits for each team, and they were able to do pretty remarkable things.
Incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know if there's a chance to talk with some of the team members at some point, or maybe we look to the future between now and DEF CON and maybe get an update from you on what the finals look like.
Absolutely. Our teams are hard, like nose to the grindstone, working on developing their systems for finals. But we do actually, I think 2 of them are here at RSA exhibiting in one way, in some way or another. And we will have the teams at DEF CON. We want to give them an opportunity after we talk about, the results are released, for them to talk very candidly about their experience and how their CRS has performed. The how is such an interesting question. We have actually visualization experts just dedicated to trying to help us explain how the cyber reasoning systems, these collections of program analysis tools, are leveraging the LLMs. And those workflows are, once again, fascinating, but very hard to untangle. So the how is going to be really interesting to continue to explore, I think, too.
And it's definitely a work in progress.
Yes.
Never going to end.
Never going to end.
Once you finish this, you can start another one, right? Because it's an evolving risk.
And I think, so releasing the tools open source and our infrastructure open source, that's the other component of this. So we're going to release the data and the infrastructure such that someone could rerun the competition on their own if they wanted to, or start testing other tools or models in that same competition environment. So we're really trying to make this investment, the value to the public at large, as high as possible. And I think, because that's sort of like fully automated, minimally biased or unbiased data sets, like I feel like getting those out of these tools is also just super valuable.
Yeah. And for me, inside the mind of the teams and the individuals, if how they think about this relative to how bad actors think about it, and if they had unlimited resources, how might they change their tactics and their techniques to approach this? Yeah, we've upped so their budgets are increased to thousands of dollars per project for our final round. So we're hoping to get a glimpse of that. But yes, I think that's an interesting question to keep asking, for sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the tour.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate it. I think it's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And we'll do our part to share it with everybody as well, and get an update from you when the time comes.
I mean, come out to DEF CON. We'd love to have you.
We'll be there.
Awesome.
We'll be there.
Sure. Yeah.
Right on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Black Cloak provides concierge cybersecurity protection to corporate executives and high net worth individuals to protect against hacking, reputational loss, financial loss, and the impacts of a corporate data breach. Learn more at blackcloak.io.
This is a special announcement. We are heading to RSAC Conference in San Francisco for our 11th years of coverage, April 28, May 1st.
And as always, we're bringing you keynotes, conversations with organizers, speakers, industry leaders, plus the latest insights from the world of cybersecurity.
And we'll reconnect with old friends, meet new ones, and of course, we want you and your company to join us.
We have a few spots left for full sponsorship and our on-location briefings. You can book yours now at itspmagazine.com/RSAC.
We're going.
And you're coming with us.